Okay. Can you read the translations? We're going to sing this bhajan for Lord Jagannath, and let's read the translations first. All glories to the dear Son of Jagannath Mishra. All three worlds offer praise unto his lotus feet. In the nutshell, behold the conch shell, this the love of the lotus flower, while in the town unlimited, the only nasty sour and water. It is said that in old times, when Lord Ramachandra, he killed the demon Ravana, and later, as Lord Krishna, he revealed the splendorously opulent pastimes of the Lord. It is he who has come. He has come. Oh, Raj is come tonight here. Accepting the mood and lust of Sri Radha, he has come Raj to Nadia. He has come. Now Lord Govinda, proud of voice, come and Lord Gauranga. He has come distributing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Vasudev Ghosh says in full hands, he who is Gora, he who is Krishna, is he who is Jagannath. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korejar Charanavandam. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korejar Charanavandana. Dila Chale Shanka Chakra Gada Padmadar Nadia Nagare Nanda Kamanda Ludhar Nila Chale Gada Chakra Oh Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidanandana Tribhuvane Korejan Charanavandana. Puravete Ravana Badila Golokera Vaibhava Lila Prakasha Korila Keho Bole Puravete Ravana Badila Golokera Vaibhava Lila Prakasha
Kasha Korina. Hey Jayo Jayo Jagannatha Sachidananda Tribhuvane Korejan Sharana Vandana. Hey Jayo Radhar Bhave Gora Avatar Hare Krishna Nama Gora Korila Prachar Shri Radha Hey Jayo Jayo Jagannatha Sachidananda Tribhuvane Korejan Sharana Vandana. Hey Jayo Vasudeva Gosha Bole Kore Joda Hak Jai Gora Sri Krishna Sri Jagannath Vasudeva Gosha Bole Kore Joda Hak Say Krishna, say Jagannath. Jaya, Jaya, Jagannatha, Sachidananda, Tribhuvane Korejan, Sharana Vandana. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachidananda Tribhuvane Korejan Sharana Vandana. Jaya Sachidananda Tribhuvane Korejan Sharana Vandana. Say Gaura, say Krishna, say Jagannath. Jai Gaura, say Krishna, say Jagannath. Jai Gaura, say Krishna, say Jagannath. Jai Gaura, say Krishna, say Jagannath. Say Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai.
Good morning, everyone. Today, on the occasion of special Gainesville Rath Yatra, have a class on pastimes of Lord Jagannath. And who here has been to a Rath Yatra festival before? Jonathan, you've also been. Okay, so everyone has been to Rath Yatra festival. So you know what happens basically, like Lord Jagannath and his siblings are in a chariot and we pull them to a different place. Like they start in one place, they end up at a different place. Mostly in Friday they come back to the same place and then everyone disperses. But we'll hear today about historical significance of Rath Yatra, like where it started, how it is usually done there, and in our movement, in our Hare Krishna movement, what Srila Prabhupada has done, what Lord Chaitanya has done, how they celebrated Rath Yatra. So before I get into all that, I just want to show some pictures. I try to like find few pictures on Rath Yatra. It's not as big. Okay, so Rath Yatra this is Jagannath Puri, and this is the street where Rath Yatra happens every year. And it's, I think, in the distance from where they start, from the main Jagannath temple to the end, it's a couple of miles. It's less than like 2 miles probably. But in that street, there's like crores, so no, maybe like 10 lakhs, so maybe 1 million people fit in that street. And you probably know that every culture has a way of exaggerating things. And so in Odisha, people say that there's so many people on the street that if you were to throw mustard seeds, not a single one will fall on the ground. Obviously, that's not true, but that's how people describe, like there's so many people in Rath Yatra that, or they have one other way, and this is even more funnier, that if you were to take a plate, like let's say golden plate, and you would just spin it, it would keep spinning because it just goes on everyone's head. But there's no empty space, it just keeps spinning. So that's basically a lot of people. Like, has Aditya Prabhu, have you been to Rath Yatra in Puri? Okay, and it happens during the peak of summer. You recognize the restaurant? Okay, that's the restaurant, the Grand Restaurant. Yeah, you can see that.
It's good because in the restaurant, some of the cooks.
Yeah, and when Prabhupada Priya took the devotees to Jagannath Puri, I recommended them to eat at this restaurant, and they really loved the prasadam there. You can ask Premamrita or Brihat Mridanga. Anyways, and this street is known as the Grand Trunk Road, like the Grand Road, where the procession happens every year. And you can see in the back, that's Srila Prabhupada. But that is the temple of Lord Jagannath in Puri, and there's 3 chariots. Okay, I'll just ask this to people who want to take a guess, not people who know. Who do you think this chariot belongs to? Like based on the color, who do you think this chariot belongs to? Right answer is Lord Jagannath, because yellow, like Krishna wears yellow, so that one. And then which one is the middle one? Subhadra. Now it's correct. Because she's the sister, so she stays in between. And then Lord Baldev. Lord Baldev goes first, like he's the first one to be taken. And then comes Lady Subhadra, and then comes Lord Jagannath. And these chariots are huge. Like they described, all of them are at least 40, 45 or 44 feet high. And to get an estimate, this room is like 10 or 12 feet high. So like 4 times, like a 4-storied building, like it's as high as that. And there's like many wheels on the ground, and it takes, like, it's so heavy, it takes like hundreds of people like to pull it on the street. And the ropes are as thick, like this thick. So it's not like you can just hold it easily, and so it needs a lot of people. It's built from scratch every year. So so Lord Jagannath has a lot of property in Orissa, so it's in his name. So there's particular forest. And so how it goes is the pujari, like, or the main, like the priest, they get a dream about like which trees are meant to be used for the chariot like that year. And so they go there, they source the wood, they bring it, and it's like built from scratch. It starts in May, like around 40 days before the festival, and it's built. And the amazing thing is, yeah, they do that. It's not a case of deforestation. So you don't have to. Yeah, it's forest management. It's Lord Jagannath's property, so it's easily managed. And it's built from scratch every year. All this different, every item that is on here is built by people who have been doing this like for many generations. It's not like it's outsourced to some supermarket or some like, yeah, it's not made in China. It's made right there in Puri. And these people, their family have been making it since like hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's a lineage, like comes down in the lineage how to, yeah, you're born into it and you make it. So
And the wood from the oak cards is used as plywood.
yeah, that is also true. So it's also like responsibly used. And okay, so that's some amazing things about like the Rath Yatra festival in Puri in Odisha. But you could think like it's such a far away place from here, and we are celebrating here in Gainesville. Like, of course, like now we are familiar with the Hare Krishna movement, but you could wonder like who brought this movement here, and what is the answer? Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, this picture of from the Prabhupada Lilamrita of Prabhupada doing Rath Yatra festival when he was young. And because he was from Bengal and Odisha and Bengal are right next to each other in geographically in India, the Rath Yatra festival is also celebrated very nicely in West Bengal. And so when Prabhupada would see that the local temple would hold the Rath Yatra festival every year, he wanted to have his own festival. He wanted his own carts, his own procession. Like he told his dad that I want to do it. Please, can you arrange like some deities and some paraphernalia? So his dad, Gaur Mahande, he was a very resourceful person. So he arranged for the right the wood and everything, and he made the cart for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada got all his friends, and Prabhupada would perform arti and get a lot of different kinds of like food to be offered to Lord Jagannath, and his friends would be like doing kirtan. And so originally the Rath Yatra festival happens for 9 days. So the first day Lord Jagannath goes to the other place and he stays there for 8 nights. On the 9th day he returns back to the temple. So Prabhupada did it actually for 9 days, where the festival, like every day there would be many different offerings being prepared and there would be kirtan every day. It became like so grand that his father's adult friends would be like, why don't you let us join us? Like, why don't you invite us? And his dad would be like, no, it's just children playing, let them play. And then they would joke that, oh, you just don't want us to be here. That's why you're just saying that this is children's play, although this is such a like grand festival. So Prabhupada did Rath Yatra from a very young age, and it's also described in Prabhupada Lilamrita that he would often go to the railway station and check the train timings, like when is the next train to Lord, like Jagannath Puri, when is the next train to Jagannath Puri. He always had that desire that I want to attend Rath Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri, but didn't happen when he was like very young. He eventually went to Jagannath Puri, but he was very eager to like see Lord Jagannath. And so when he came to West, and many of you might have heard like how the first Jagannath deities came to ISKCON. And I don't want to like, it's a whole story. I don't want to get into that. Basically, the devotees saw like, I don't know, it was Govinda Dasi or Malati. They saw like a wooden doll like in the store, and they just thought, oh, it's something from India. Like, so Swamiji would like it, Srila Prabhupada would like it. So they just bought one of them, and Prabhupada, when he saw, like, his eyes got big in wonder, like, this is the Lord of the universe. That's what Jagannath means. Like, where did you find him? And then I think she had stolen her. Yeah, she stole Jagannath. But then they went to the store, and there was also Subhadra and Baldev. Yeah, where are the other two? And so yeah, they went there and they brought the small Jagannath deities. This was in San Francisco. And then Prabhupada's disciple Shyam Sundar, Prabhupada asked him to carve big deities of Jagannath based on the same, like the smaller models, and he did that. And it's described in very detailed manner in Prabhupada Lilamrita. But Prabhupada first got the idea of performing the same Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco. Once he was looking out his window of his room in the temple there, he noticed that there's some flatbed trucks that were passing by. And so he got this idea that here maybe we cannot make a chariot to pull it, but maybe we can get Lord Jagannath on a flatbed truck and we can drive him. And Lord Jagannath's reason for coming out of the temple every year is that, if you have heard, the temple in Jagannath Puri, it only allows people of practicing Hindu religion and who have been born in India, like our Indian descendants. So not everyone is allowed entry to the temple. So Lord Jagannath comes out because for those days he can be visible to anyone and everyone. So Prabhupada had a similar feeling, like not everyone is coming to the temple, but Lord Jagannath is so merciful that he can go out and like give darshan to everyone and thus purify everyone. So he had this idea of doing Rath Yatra, and he told again, like I think he told Shyam Sundar to build like a Rath Yatra cart, and they rented a Hertz rental truck. You must have seen one of those, like around, like when people move, they use a yellow Hertz rental truck. And so they borrowed one of that, and they built all decorations on top. Let me see if I have a picture of that. I don't know if maybe this is from that or not, but okay. Shyam Sundar? Yeah, yeah. Jayananda Prabhu, if we hear about him, he was also very instrumental in getting all the ingredients and building this like truck. Then Prabhupada would hold this like in a very grand way every year. And first it happened in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and then it went to London. And when I think in 1973 or like one of those years, when it happened in London, Prabhupada, like when he read the newspaper headlines the next day, like it said something like the chariots of the Hare Krishnas, it rivals the Nelson, like there was a Nelson, I don't know exactly who it was. It was not Nelson Mandela, but it was another Nelson whose statue. Lord Nelson, okay, his statue. It was a huge statue. And so Prabhupada was very happy to see that the Rath Yatra chariot is being compared to that. And he was kind of like remembering that the British came to India like to rule India, but now like the Vedic tradition, like the British tried to take it away, but now the Vedic tradition, the Sanatan Dharma, it has come back to London, and it's like it has enchanted all the residents of like London. Like Lord Jagannath has come back like to take over the streets of London. So it was also like amazing festival. So Prabhupada, there is a quote by Prabhupada where he says that just if you observe Lord Jagannath on the Rath Yatra, on the chariot, that ensures that you'll make spiritual advancement, you'll be ultimately liberated. So what to speak of if we actually like engage in organizing the Rath Yatra festival, being a part of it, dancing and chanting in front of it, like we'll get a lot of benefit. And all the people who are walking on the streets today, who are standing on the streets today, and we'll see them, they're waving at us, they'll have darshan of Jagannath. They don't know who he is, but they'll have a darshan of Jagannath, and that ensures that they will ultimately like come to this path of devotion and make their life successful. So that's how amazing this Rath Yatra festival is. Let me see if I have any other pictures of. And Prabhupada every year would like he would actually there's another picture. Okay, so as he grew older, they had a special sitting place for Prabhupada, like in the chariots, and so he would be sitting there, like that is Subhadra's chariot. But what would eventually end up happening is he would either stand up and start dancing, or he would get up from the chariot and come to the streets and dance with everyone. Yeah, you had something to say. I mean, I will pull it up. I'll try to do that, but it's ecstatic, like it's ecstatic, like Prabhupada just dancing with his arms like up and with his holding his stick. It's a really exciting picture, like on the street with hundreds and thousands of devotees. And yeah, just imagine like this is such a new concept in America, and Prabhupada just envisions that this day, it's like today, New York Rath Yatra, the Rath Yatra is in London, there's like thousands of people. Prabhupada has such a grand vision that this is going to be a great like festival when so many people come to see Jagannath. And Prabhupada said a very simple way, you just do the chariot procession, you do kirtan, and you distribute prasadam. Like that's it. Like that's what we do. Like anyways, like we hold kirtan, we distribute prasadam, but we do it in a grand scale for Rath Yatra. Wow. So that's how fired up Prabhupada was about dancing. So when we remember that, we go on Rath Yatra, so maybe we can jump a few extra times remembering Prabhupada. But he did that at the age of 73 or 70, 76, 7, somewhere around that.
So no excuses.
No excuses. Is everyone coming today? Okay. And okay, this is again. So after talking about what Srila Prabhupada did in bringing this amazing like festival to the West, I just wanted to talk about the Jagannath Temple in Puri and its history and what Lord Chaitanya did. Because after Prabhupada, who's the next like great personality in like that we usually remember is Lord Chaitanya. He who is the same person who is Krishna and how he celebrated Rath Yatra. Excuse me. So this is just a picture of the temple. It's a very big temple. And it said that this current structure, it was built around like almost 1,000 years ago, like in the 11th, 12th century by the ruling kings of like the region. But Lord Jagannath actually came to this like wall, at least the way we know it. It said there was a king named Indradyumna in Satya Yuga, which is like millions of years ago. So he had a personal desire. He had a desire to serve like the Lord in a very personal manner, like in a deity form. And so to satisfy, like long story short, like to satisfy his desire, there was a lot of drama that Jagannath like did. Then finally he came, like Lord, the king had a dream that there's a log floating in the ocean. And that's how Lord Jagannath has come, and he has to carve like a deity, a form out of that log. And so he somehow managed to like get the log out of the ocean, and somehow a very old carpenter comes out of nowhere and says that I know how to like I'll do this. The old carpenter was actually Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods. Like he came in the form of a carpenter, and he said that I'm going to fashion the deities out of these woods, this log of woods. But my only condition is that no one will interrupt me. And once you interrupt me, like that's like I'm gone. So yeah, so the king arranged for a room for the carpenter, and he was provided all facilities, and they would hear everything, tuk 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 tuk, like like carving deities out of the wood. It went on for 2 weeks, but then suddenly one day it stopped, and they couldn't hear any more sound. And so a few days passed, like the king started growing impatient. I think it was his wife who convinced him that maybe there's something wrong, please go and check. The king was hesitant, like, no, he has told me not to check. But eventually, like, he listened to his wife, and they opened the door, and what they saw was what we know as the form of Jagannath. But he thought that this is not a complete form, because his hands, I don't have a picture. Maybe I do have a picture. Let's see. Okay, let's say, oh, this is not a good picture. He has hands, like special hands made here, but usually it's just like, it's like this, and he doesn't have separate feet. And Subhadra doesn't even have any arms. And so he thought, maybe this is a blunder I made. They're incomplete forms. Like, he was devastated that I should have listened and let the carpenter do his work. But in any situation when people are distressed, who suddenly comes to the rescue? Narada. We hear a lot about Lord Narada. So Lord Narada came and told the king that don't worry, like this is how it's meant to be, like the Lord has a plan. And he said that I have actually seen this form like when in a different time, when Lord Krishna, when he was in Vrindavan, he was in Dwarka, he was ruling in Dwarka. But I think he went to Vrindavan, or like when he was passing by, he was hearing stories of, like he was hearing narrations of his pastimes in Vrindavan. And he got so enamored and so like fixed in trance that he just stood there listening. And in amazement, his eyes like grew bigger, like even bigger than his face. And his face like became a wide smile, and his hands and like feet shrunk into his body. And then his Subhadra and Baldev, his siblings, they also came, and when they heard about the pastimes of Vrindavan, a similar thing happened to them. So Lord Narada had seen that Lord Krishna has taken this form in a different time. So he was like, this is a bona fide form, so you should make sure that this form is worship. The Lord has a plan. Don't think that this is incomplete. Yeah. Separation from Vrindavan. Exactly. Like he doesn't smile as big as Lord Jagannath. Like Lord Jagannath's smile, it's like the way you say smiling from ear to ear. That's how Lord Jagannath is smiling. It's the most enchanting smile. So the king arranged for that, but that was in Satya Yuga, and then eventually the temple got like in ruins with the course of time. But then eventually in the 11th century, The king that I was talking about, they built the current structure that is standing. So it's like, yeah, it's almost like 1,000 years old, and there's every year there has to be renovations on it. But still, the temple is there as it is, and Lord Jagannath's rituals and his worship goes like as grand as it was always there. And this picture that I'm showing you with Lord Jagannath's hands, this happens after the last day of Rath Yatra, where Lord Jagannath is given all golden ornaments. These are all made of like solid gold, like his hands, his feet, all his ornaments. The same with Subhadra and Baladev. And it said that Lord Jagannath has like a treasury where all these ornaments are kept. And it said that that treasury is so big, so huge that no one actually knows like how much gold is in there. And Ananta Sesha is said to be guarding there so that no one can steal any property from Lord Jagannath. These are like super heavy, like gold ornaments that Jagannath owns, and he gets dressed in this, I think, twice a year, every year. So maybe someday, even I haven't been there on to see this in person, but hopefully I can go there to see this amazing spectacle. But then coming to Lord Chaitanya, it's described in. Is everyone like familiar with Lord Chaitanya's like life story, like how he was born in a different place, but then Nate, have you heard anything about Lord Chaitanya? I'll just quickly summarize. So he was born in a part of West Bengal. It's the neighboring state of Orissa, where Jagannath is there. But when he was aged 24, he took sannyas, like he left his home and took the renounced order of life. And after that, he started traveling everywhere. But then he wanted to go to Vrindavan, but somehow he was tricked by his associates to come to a place which is nearby his home. And so while he was there, his mother came to visit him. And so Lord Chaitanya told her mother that I don't want you to feel the same separation that you did from me, like when I left home. So what do you think? Like where should I make my like residence? If I stay too close to home, all the people will say that although I'm a renunciate, I'm still taking the comforts of home. And I'm getting my home cooked like prasadam, I'm getting all my associates here. But if I go too far away, like, but he said basically I cannot stay close to home. So his mother said that this is the best thing you can do. You can go and stay in Jagannath Puri, which is a few hours away from where she lived. And she said that because every year people will go back and forth to Jagannath Puri for Rath Yatra, so I'll keep hearing your news from them. So Lord Chaitanya said, okay, that's a very good idea. So he made Jagannath Puri his headquarters, like his residence, and he stayed there for 18 years. And his pastimes in Jagannath Puri is described in great detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is like his biography. And in the 13th chapter, it describes what Lord Chaitanya did, how he celebrated this festival of like Rath Yatra. And I have, okay, this is a couple of pictures from there. So we know like what Lord Chaitanya loved the most. That was doing Harinam Sankirtan, like ecstatic, like chanting of Lord Krishna's names, of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the way he celebrated this festival was also by having great like kirtan ceremony. And it's described that he organized 7 different kirtan parties. He, amongst all his devotees, all the people who had come from like his hometown, he distributed them into 7 people. And sorry, not 7 people, into 7 parties. And each party, there was, let me look at this. There was 2 mridanga players in each, very specific. 7 dancing parties. In each, there is 2 mridanga players, 1 lead singer, and 5 people who sing in response. Very specific. And there's a lead dancer, and then he has assistant dancers. And you've heard of Haridas Thakur. You know of Haridas Thakur? He was such an old person. But in this Rath Yatra festival, he was appointed as one of the lead dancers in one of the group. So he just like, he was beyond his age. He would dance like he would go crazy while dancing. And then Lord Chaitanya appointed all the 7. In front of Lord Jagannath's chariot, he would put 4 of them, 4 parties. On each side, he would put 1, and on the back, he would put 1 like dancing party. And the way Lord Chaitanya performed his pastime, it was such amazing that every group thought that Lord Chaitanya is only in our group and he's only dancing with us and he loves our group the most. But only some specific devotees could see that Lord Chaitanya is there everywhere at once. Lord Chaitanya just chanted the whole way. And Lord Jagannath, so Lord Chaitanya is, maybe if you remember, Advaita Prabhu was saying that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna coming in the form of Radha, right? So here he's in the mood of Radha, and Lord Jagannath is Krishna himself. So Krishna in the form of Jagannath is very eager to see Lord Chaitanya dancing. So whenever Lord Chaitanya would be dancing in front of the cart, Lord Jagannath would be happy and he would move. And sometimes Lord Chaitanya would move to the back of the chariot, and then suddenly Lord Jagannath would stop, like he would not budge. Like it said that it's the Lord of the universe. It's not that people can just pull his chariot away and he will go. He just wanted to see Lord Chaitanya, and every time Lord Chaitanya would go somewhere else, he would stop. And then Lord Chaitanya comes to the front again dancing, and then Lord Jagannath would happily like move. And this way, the whole like Lord Chaitanya celebrated the whole Rath Yatra from the beginning to the end part. When it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was so ecstatic while chanting. Like he would have ecstatic symptoms, he would faint, and he would start reciting verses, different verses in ecstasy. And sometimes he would want to say, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Can I hear it? Jai Jagannath. But Lord Chaitanya was so ecstatic, he couldn't even say Jai Jagannath. He would just say Ja Ja, Gaga, like he would just like get choked up. It's actually described like in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was so ecstatic he couldn't even say the name properly. But he would be chanting and he would faint and he would get up and he would dance again, like he would perform all these ecstatic pastimes. And the end, like when Lord Jagannath reaches the end, I think I forgot to mention one part. So what does Rath Yatra signify? Shruti was mentioning this morning that Rath Yatra signifies when Lord Krishna, so Krishna, when he left Vrindavan, he went to Dwarka to rule. You've heard of this? So then for like almost 100 years or so, he didn't come back to Vrindavan, but he promised that he's going to come back, but he did not. And all the residents in Vrindavan were very eagerly like anticipating like Krishna will come sometime. They're only like holding their life air with that little hope that Krishna is going to come sometime and we're going to see him. Like such like strong hope, such strong faith that my dear Krishna is going to come. But in Kurukshetra, when all this, there was a big festival, there was a solar eclipse, and it was a pious, like religious ceremony. So Krishna went with all his entourage to Kurukshetra. And all the gopis and all the people from Vrindavan, they also went to Kurukshetra. And so when there they saw each other, like it felt like the gopis felt like the life has come back to them, like just seeing Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna actually went and talked to them. But Krishna, being the dramatic person that he is, instead of telling them that, like, oh, it's so wonderful to see you, like, he inquired from them, how have you been? And then he started, like, giving them some philosophy that, like, we have never been separate. We've always been there together. Like, I'm present in all the different elements, the air, the fire, the earth, and you're also always in contact with them. So how is it that you miss me? Like, you shouldn't miss me. I'm always around you. But the gopis, like, did not take into consideration any of this philosophy. They were like, we want you like you were in Vrindavan, like the cowherd boy that you were. So what they did is they pulled Krishna, Lord Balaram and Subhadra, they had him on chariots and they pulled him to Vrindavan. They took him from the opulent place of Kurukshetra back to Vrindavan. So this Rath Yatra pastime signifies, or like that pulling of Lord Krishna from his opulent place of residence in Dwarka to Vrindavan. And in this case, where the temple that Lord Jagannath is, it's like an opulent place. And the place that he goes to is much smaller. It's surrounded by gardens. So that signifies Vrindavan, and the place where he lives, it signifies Dwarka. So all the devotees pulling him back, the Rath Yatra to the Gundicha temple shows how Krishna is visiting Vrindavan once every year. Like he stays there for a few days and then he goes back. So Lord Chaitanya, that's why he was always ecstatic in this festival, because he was in the mood of Radharani. He was feeling separation from Krishna. And this festival meant that Krishna is coming back to Vrindavan, so Radharani could be as she is. And so as it kept getting closer to Vrindavan, or kept getting closer to the end of the parade, Lord Chaitanya's like symptoms or feelings of Radharani's mood would come out more and more. He would start like feeling the bhava or the ecstasy of Radharani. And Lord Jagannath would feel even more happy seeing Lord Chaitanya express that mood of Radharani. Anyways, Lord Jagannath stays there for a few days and then he goes back. And basically, that's how Lord Chaitanya celebrated this amazing festival of Rath Yatra. And the most important part of this festival is ecstatic singing and dancing. And so, when we go out on Rath Yatra today, what we do is ecstatic singing and dancing. Like, from whatever energy we have, we remember Prabhupada, we remember Lord Chaitanya, and we sing Lord Jagannath's name, we sing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And also, the part of the Rath Yatra festival was at the end, a lot of prasadam is offered to Lord Jagannath in the garden area of Vrindavan. So, what we'll also have is when we reach the end, we'll go to this a park called Sweetwater Park. Lord Jagannath is parked there, and we went Kirtan there, and we serve Krishna lunch, and we enjoy Krishna lunch, and then we come back. To the Sweetwater Park. The Yeah, the lunch will be in Vrindavan, so we can, while we're walking in the streets, we can remember this whole pastime of Lord Jagannath and Lord Chaitanya, how he celebrated this. I'd just like to end by mentioning a few other quick stories. So Lord Jagannath is supposed to be living in Puri, like the big temple, with Lakshmi Devi, his wife, because that is Dwarka, or like the place he rules from. And when he goes to Vrindavan, the story is that he does not tell Lakshmi Devi, his wife, that he's going. He just leaves. And then Lakshmi Devi is very angry with him. And he's like, how could he do this? Like, this is not good. So when Lord Jagannath comes back after 9 days, so in current day, the servants of Lakshmi Devi, they don't let Jagannath enter the temple. They're like, you have displeased our goddess Lakshmi Devi, so you cannot enter. So every year, what Lord Jagannath does is, there's a lila called Mana Bhanjana Lila, which means he gets a particular sweet called Rasgulla, and he offers that to Lakshmi Devi. And by that, Lakshmi Devi's anger is subsided, and he ultimately, there's a lot of songs that they sing to each other, like Lord Lakshmi Devi's servants sing and Jagannath's servants sing. And he finally appeases Lakshmi Devi, then he's allowed entry back into Jagannath Puri. That is something I found very sweet. Like, even if it's Lord Jagannath, if his wife is displeased, then he has to. Yeah, basically. Actually, when he comes, he stays a day on the Rath Yatra, the chariot, and I think the next day he does the whole thing of offering Rasgulla, and then he's allowed entry into the temple. So, and he's the Lord of the universe, and he just acts in a way to show everyone that he is accessible and he is so relatable, like he's everyone's friend. Yeah, that's what something amazing about Lord Jagannath is. And something else that is cool about Jagannath Puri is that there's a lot of prasadam being offered. There's so many different offerings throughout the day, and the fire in the kitchen never runs out. There's always things being cooked, and it's offered this. If you go to a regular ISKCON temple, there's 7 or 6 offerings in a day, and in Jagannath Puri it's even more than that. And every offering there's 56, not every offering, but it's 56 different preparations that's made, and that is offered. And once the offering is out, then there's a place called Anand Bazaar where all the offerings come out, and everyone goes there to buy prasadam and eat. And that is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Yeah, Bimala first. So this is also the thing that once it is offered to Lord Jagannath, the servants actually come out and invite all the demigods that now the prasadam has been offered, then you can come and eat. And then it goes to the marketplace where everyone goes and buys prasadam. And I don't ever remember what time of the day you even if you go in the evening or the morning, there's always prasadam to be honored at Jagannath Puri. 2 tons of rice every day, just rice. That's a lot of rice. People in Odisha love to eat rice, and it's a common a story that Lord Jagannath, Vishnu in the form of Jagannath, he comes to Puri to eat. That's why the prasadam is super opulent there. Nothing else is the worship, the decorations are not so elaborate there, but the prasadam is the most opulent. Then he goes to South India, Rameshwaram. He takes a bath there, and then he goes to Badrinath up north, where he meditates for the benefit of all the human beings. And then he finally takes sleep in Dwarka, the west part of India. But Lord Jagannath in Puri, what he does, he eats. He loves to eat. Actually, his rest time is maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. He goes to bed around midnight and he wakes up very early for Mangalarti. But what he loves to do is eat. So that's what we can do today. Sing, dance, and eat prasadam. Okay. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We have a couple of minutes. First Gopi and then we.
I wanted to try and say something about the mood of separation, which is what Lord Chaitanya and our whole Sampradaya actually recommends for us, that we can really make even quicker spiritual advancement if we enter into this mood of separation. That's what they recommend, that we chant and we think of Krishna in a mood of separation. And in a way, it's almost like that's a way in which we can link ourselves with some of the most elevated devotees, the residents of Vrindavan, because they always feel pangs of separation. Of course, ours is a little different because we're here in the material world, and our separation is of a different category. But when we practice our spirituality, our bhakti yoga, we can kind of emulate and mirror their moods. And we touched upon it. You mentioned some of the pastimes, like for example, when the residents of Dwarka, they wanted to hear of Krishna's childhood pastimes. Mother Rohini said that she would narrate them because she was there.
Yeah.
Then Subhadra said that she would stand guard because if Krishna were to hear these pastimes, he would feel separation, and that actually creates the highest ecstasy. And Rohini said everyone would go into ecstasy and I wouldn't be able to keep narrating the pastimes, so someone has to stand guard. Then they arrived there anyway and they all went into ecstasy. So this form of Lord Jagannath is also the highest expression of Krishna's ecstasy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it comes because of separation, of him being away from Vrindavan and then remembering Vrindavan. That remembrance and separation is like actually the deepest connection we can have with Krishna, and that he has with us. And then similarly, when the gopis were at Kurukshetra, same thing, they came with such separation. It's described that when Krishna left Vrindavan, everyone in Vrindavan kind of remained in the same positions when he left. Like years later, Nanda Maharaj was still standing in the doorway where he had waved to Krishna. And Mother Yashoda was still in the kitchen and there was like cobwebs on everything. They were kind of frozen in separation. And Radharani was like laying on the banks of the Yamuna, feeling so much separation that it was like a literal fire that was going to make her body spontaneously combust. So it's like really intense emotions. And the Rath Yatra, there's something in there in the Rath Yatra also about that mood of separation, and then trying to just like bring Krishna back.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, we can feel that, appreciate that separation, at least practically every day while we chant japa. Like we're pulling, also like Rath Yatra signifies pulling Lord Jagannath into our hearts, like Krishna pulling him into our hearts. And every day we can probably be on a mental platform, like we think of Krishna, we know of Krishna, like hear the philosophy, but it's not coming to our heart. But while chanting, and we can remember that we are pulling Krishna from our minds to our hearts, and that is the significance of Rath Yatra. So we can feel the separation and appreciate this whole ceremony every day while we do our devotional service, while we chant. Thank you. Did you have something to say? Okay.
She wants the video.
Oh, she wants the video. Should I end or should I pull up the video? Okay? Oh. Okay. What is the video? Oh, okay. Please come. I just have to change the sound, but the sound is from here.